So, you want to be a real estate investor, but where do you start? How do you know what information and sources to trust? That's where I come in. I'm Jonny Cattani, and this is the Investor Relations Real Estate Podcast. Hey guys, real quick, before we start, go to investwithcattani.com and download my free ebook, Is Commercial Real Estate Recession Proof? Now to today's show. What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Investor Relations Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Jonny Cattani, and I am joined today by Collin Schwartz. Collin is co-founder and director of operations for LeavenWealth. He directs the day-to-day operations of investments. Collin brings over 3 years experience of investing in the alternative asset class. Collin has over $190 million in assets under management and 2,400 units throughout the Midwest. Collin's owned Bricktown Construction, Bricktown Property Management, Liquid Lending Solutions, and Bratlas Property Management, which are synergistic in improving the longevity and value of LeavenWealth's assets. He is also the creator of the largest real estate meetup in Nebraska. He is a father to 3 children with his wife, Emily. Collin graduated from Bellevue University with his MBA in finance. Collin, welcome to the show.
Welcome, Jonny Cattani. I like the ring of it.
Thanks.
It's awesome. Thanks for the intro.
Absolutely. Appreciate you joining us. Really excited for the conversation today. We had a really awesome green room off-camera talk. You've kind of bounced around, but now settled there in the beautiful city of Omaha, Nebraska. So cool. Well, let's get into it. Take us back to the beginning here. We kind of got a little bit. You graduated the MBA in finance. Was your plan to always do this, or where did you start and what brought you here?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I didn't even know that I listed my education on my bio because it is almost never, ever, ever brought up in my day-to-day for what I do now. I was working at a grocery chain when I moved out to Nebraska. I kind of moved the way up. I was going to be running a store and then probably moving on to corporate, et cetera. And then at the age of 28, I finished my master's degree and said, hey, I'm going to live the American dream. I got a 9-to-5 job, becoming an analyst at an insurance company, got promoted a few times there, sat in the same desk from 9 to 5, maybe 8 to 4, clocking in, clocking out, just, Monday through Friday.
The dream.
Got those 10 days of vacation, some good insurance. I got a 401k. Life is peachy, man. I thought I made it, making about 6 figures, pretty close to. I was like, boy, this is a good life. Then January 1st, 2017, it was the last day I was on vacation, me and my wife, and I happened to see a recommendation for Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I picked up the book and I immediately got halfway through it and I stood up. It was like 11 o'clock at night and basically wanted just to bang my head up against the wall, wondering what the hell I was doing with my life. I just, nobody had ever told me any of this, and it's my own fault, but I had always worked 60, 80 hours a week. I'd had multiple jobs. I'd always just put my nose to the grindstone, save 20% of my income or as much as I possibly could, put it away in a 401k, savings, whatever. And then I read the Purple Bible and it kind of changed my life. I get back to work January 4th, which happened to also be my birthday, which happened to also be the day in which they removed. So I also ran another business, just kind of a consulting business. And they removed some of my unpaid vacation time because I moved apartments. So basically all my vacation time previously was being used for work. So I said, hey, don't pay me. I just need another week off so I can spend with the family. I was on my way to have my second child. Also, I noticed a coworker who was 62 at the time had a countdown timer of 1,000 days on his desk for when he was looking at retiring. And it kind of all just like this big old wave just hit over me. I was like, F this, Collin, I got to do something. So I started reading, getting on bigger pockets, and I started becoming a madman. I'd wake up at 4:30. First thing I'd do is I would read something or put in my AirPods, listen to podcasts, books. Once again, I don't come from entrepreneurs. I come from low middle class. It's probably best to say. And I just started learning as much as I could. I started networking. And then by April 24th, 2017, so it's about 4 months later, I closed on my first threeplex. And since that date, I've had a project under contract ever since. So right now, as you said, about 2,400 units. We have quite a bit more under contract. We should be up to 300 million with pretty much what we have under contract within the next few months. Started a meetup group, have multiple different partners in businesses, but have one main business partner, Chris Pomerleau, in which him and I just go back and forth with each other. And yeah, I have just kind of seen some hockey stick growth kind of throughout the whole process. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now.
Wow, that's awesome. I love that story so much, because so many people can relate to that, right? Of that sort of, you got it made, you're in that 6-figure job, and then, man, I love the purple Bible. That's so good. Gosh, yeah, I remember reading that and I was like, okay, something's wrong here. So you got on bigger pockets. You bought a threeplex. After that, though, you jumped into commercial. So what was it that sort of you were like, I'm just, because I also skipped over the sort of residential wholesaling, fix and flip, any of those things, and came straight to commercial. So what was it that stuck out that you're like, no, I want to go acquire large commercial assets?
Well, I guess I'll still purchase smaller multifamilies as long as it's within our operations. Um, one thing to point out though, oftentimes you can still have these properties appraised utilizing a cap rate valuation. Now, I know they say 4 units and under. No, it really just depends. Sometimes you can blend it. Um, but the reason why I guess I jumped into threeplex versus a single family is a threeplex is a lot less risky than a single family. If one goes vacant, I still have 2/3 of it paying rent. So that was just what hit my head. I did not want to make two mortgage payments being my personal home as well as my investment property, and tell my wife, hey, look what I did. I got us two mortgages. Sorry. Um, so it just really the scalability. You can, at the beginning, I did everything. I did all the leasing. I took all the phone calls. I would change the locks. I'd go to eviction court. I found the deals. I'd write up the purchase agreements. I'd write out my entity information. I did everything. Okay, now I don't do that. I did my books, which now that was the first thing I got rid of. But I don't do that anymore because I've scaled, because there's enough income coming in that I can hire people that are experts in those areas, which I can focus on what I am good at and grow through that. So really, I mean, it's hard to do that in the beginning, but I mean, it was just a scale and progression, and all of a sudden you just start adding zeros um, to basically the profit and whatever you're raising. Um, yeah,
Awesome. I
I
love
did.
that.
I did wholesale. I've wholesaled some projects. I flipped a couple. I'm not a very good house flipper. The only time I've lost money in real estate, I flipped a house and lost about $600. So it was lesson learned. It could have been a lot worse. I'll stick to my lane.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, I guess, I consider, I guess, 4 and under residential. I guess technically that's what they consider too.
You're
However,
correct.
going back, I would start. I did an episode on this a while back, but I would start with that, like at least 2 units and above. Like if I could go back, that's how I would start, and that's how I encourage people. If you don't have capital, is just get started, right? Take action, do something. So that's obviously, you've obviously grown, right? You got an incredible portfolio, fully, fully vertically integrated. Talk about, the idea behind that, kind of having a hand in everything.
Yeah, and one thing that I didn't list is we also have a title company as well.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
I spend very little time with that, but once again, creating a large meetup group, as well as all the transactions we have with our hard money lending company, as well as the acquisitions that we acquire and sell, it made sense to start a title company. The main reason, so I got into property management. So this is something I think is incredibly important. I went to the hardest place of suck that nobody wants to go to, which is property management. Nobody wants to do it. Everybody you hear now, syndicate, make this big fat fee, buy 300 units, etc. And I syndicate now. So that is cool. It is cool to do those things. However, property management is the basement that nobody sees. It's the foundation. It's not there. Everything above it, it doesn't matter. So I started going through P&Ls of different property management companies, and I started looking at how they were running the assets. I was like, I'm never going to make money on this. One, two, they're not running it well. Three, I am taking my money out of my 401k, stock market, wherever, because I want to have control of it, because I trust me. I trust me to screw it up. I trust me to be successful with it. So I just kind of took that approach, and kind of, the background of management that I've always had, whether at the retail level, et cetera, um, kind of played into it, but it was my value add piece that I could bring to partnerships. I do very little in finding deals now, but my partners and other partners, and that's kind of how it grew. They wanted to partner with me because I had the operations put into place where I could go on these properties, flip them, increase the rents, rehab them, et cetera, and refinance them in a short period of time, executing the business plan that for them it was worth the knowledge that I had, and the fact that, typically I was bringing capital to the table as well to partner with me. So that was my value add portion. So that's the initial portion of the vertical integration. The lending really became out of, we were borrowing hard money, and then we were like, okay, we refinanced some properties, partnered up with a couple other individuals, and said, hey, let's see if this works. Well, now we have about $8 million lent out regularly. We've done 175 loans. Construction company, same thing. We were rehabbing 30, 40 units a month. Okay, time to bring it in-house. Let's start building that construction division. So everything was really built out of necessity.
That's awesome. And that's usually where things are built, at least in the best quality. There's some saying that I'm going to butcher. It's like, I can't remember what it is, but basically that's where like a lot of the best inventions, and the whole idea is that it comes from necessity, right? Which is is really what you hear when people are vertically integrated, especially with property management, is either they could never find a good one, which is the most common, or like you look at it and it's like, okay, it makes way more sense to have this here now. So you're not an entrepreneur. Well, at least you didn't initially have that kind of entrepreneurial spirit. You mentioned grew up kind of lower middle class. What was it like, finding investors and kind of building that base for people to, kind of almost be willing to follow you and be willing to, invest with you?
Yeah. So I did sell wholesale candy in fifth grade. So I was actually making like $100 a week doing that until I got ratted on. And then at the age of 6, I took a lemonade stand. Instead of just selling lemonade, I sold a whole bunch of crap and was making like $50 a weekend doing it. So
Nice.
I always kind of had that. I had a
Okay,
little
there
bit
you
of
go.
that, but then, got sucked into the corporate career and just like, hey, you got to go to work 9 to 5. So investors. So first off, I utilized my own money at first, which, I didn't have a ton, but I was 32 years old when I started, and I saved money and had a corporate career. So I had a 401k, I had some equity in my home, and I went all in. I used it all. Okay, I had proven that model. Then I had a buddy who we invested together. He brought in his mom, and I basically quadrupled their investment in no time. And I'm like, well, crap, maybe I should bring my mom into this. And it's not because at the beginning, you're thinking, I don't want to ask somebody for money because it feels like you're asking them for a favor. When in actuality, if I could have made my mom 4x on her money instead of the 3% she was getting in bonds, she probably would have been really happy. So it kind of started there. And then from there, people just started seeing kind of the successful track. So people would reach out to me. We don't do a lot of push to get investors because we want to keep it a smaller circle. It just makes it easier for us, but then also it's easier for us to explain the model. And our model is that people invest with us, and our goal, lots of syndicators will refinance an investor out or sell. Our goal is long-term legacy wealth. So people will hold the project, we'll complete our business plan, and in 3 to 5 years, sometimes a lot sooner, we'll refinance all that capital back out. We'll return their capital to them, and they're still in the project. Well, what are they going to do with that refinanced capital that's tax-free? They can go do whatever they want. They can buy a boat, they can take a vacation, but oftentimes they're going to put it back in their bank account, not making any returns. So they reinvest with us. So that's really kind of the model. And so that creates kind of the cycle that keeps building up and building up and building up of more and more individuals investing with us and continuing to invest with us. We've done it now 55 times where we've taken a project full cycle. So
Wow.
I guess it's kind of proof in the pudding that we've done it. But as I said at first, I needed to put my own skin in the game. People's capital, I don't care how wealthy they are, it is their time you are taking. If somebody gives you $1, they sacrificed a portion of time for that dollar. You multiply that to 50,000, 100,000. You really need to be cognizant of that, because that's a big deal. You don't want to lose somebody's money, because you're literally taking away somebody's time, which is the most precious asset that we have.
Absolutely. Wow, that's really, really great insight. And ironically enough, you're in Omaha, where obviously, Warren Buffett is from, and he always says, rule number one, don't lose money. Rule number two, see rule number one. So, I love that. That's so, so important. And really, you're at that point now where obviously they can trust you, but, that takes time, and you have to have that proven track record in order to get to that. So you mentioned 55 full cycle deals. Are any of these multifamily, or is this all kind of on the smaller side?
Yeah, I mean, I think the largest one that we've done with it is 77 or 78 units. So that was just recently. We did 52 units about 2 weeks ago. But yeah, there's some 12 plexes, 24 units, a couple duplexes, some threeplexes, a couple 48 units, 36 units. So kind of the whole gambit.
Awesome. I love it. So you mentioned you're willing to take on smaller deals if it fits in. What is your typical investment thesis right now, though, and strategy?
Yeah, so I mean, so we will take on smaller projects that are in our backyard in Omaha. It's because we are heavy in the operations, and typically we can get a really good deal sometimes. So if we see a fourplex or a package of fourplexes, for instance, about fourplex, a sixplex, and a duplex, we're buying it for 60 cents on the dollar. That's fine. We know we can make money from it. It'll help the property management. It also gives our residents a little bit more ability to stay at different properties. So it's just more control of a block in which we're already invested in. However, though, we're typically looking, if it's out of state, we want to get to 100 units as fast as possible, 80 being basically the bare minimum to bring in either a third party property management or utilize one of our property management companies to help sustain that market. So usually it's about the 80 units and above, unless we have properties there. Then maybe the minimum, like in Sioux Falls or so, 24 units we recently purchased, but we already had 250 units in the area.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. So that makes sense. So if you have a large enough footprint in the area, then that's when you'll start entertaining these smaller deals. But from an economic standpoint, they don't make sense in a market that you're, like you said, it's not your backyard.
Yeah, I'm not going to go buy a duplex in Cleveland, Ohio. So yeah.
Hey, makes perfect sense. Do love Cleveland though. Cool. Well, I mean, that makes perfect sense. So as you guys continue to grow, things are starting to change a bit economically. Really all we're seeing is interest rates increase, at least that I'm seeing in kind of the commercial world. Not much else really changing. Rental increase is still there. Asset price is still going up. Are you guys shifting anything in terms of your strategy or how you determine if a deal is right for you?
Yeah, so we recently refinanced some projects a little bit differently than what we would, or maybe a little faster than what we would have. One, for instance, we only got 68% back of our total capital invested. We were looking at a 4 to 6 year time frame to refinance. Instead, we did it in like 22 months. But we got 30-year and 4% interest, or 3.98% interest. Yeah, 10-year fixed. Okay,
Sick.
cool. Yeah, so we've done that. We just got a swap on another property, which was going to be a 6 to 7 year refinance. And we returned once again about the same amount of capital. So it wasn't 100%, but we did that in 16 months. And we're in a swap, 30 years, 10-year fixed. It was in the threes. It was like 3.68 or 3.63%. So that's what we're doing. That's what we've done to hedge. Otherwise, we use a lot of community banks, but those are some of the recent things that we've done just to take that in account. But yeah, of course, now our underwriting, we have to increase the interest rate. And if the deal doesn't make sense, we say, hey, this is why your price needs to come down. And I mean, the property just became less valuable because interest rates are higher, and that's just is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Are you still very bullish on your markets? Are you looking at other markets, any other asset classes, or is this your main focus here?
Yeah, so we're in 7 markets right now, all the way from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, down to Dallas, Texas. I love Omaha since it's in my backyard. I love Sioux Falls. We're in Des Moines, Tulsa, Kansas City, Manhattan, Kansas. We are building a 132 unit infill brand new development in Omaha, Nebraska. Um, as you mentioned, Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett's putting over $1 billion into the medical center here, which is one of the best medical centers in the country. They're building what's that? A rail car that's going basically right next to it, which has been proven to increase the value of properties and foot traffic exponentially. Um, so we are doing that because we had the properties, and we also locked in a really great interest rate. Um, we're buying a commercial building that's close over in Iowa, but once again, great deal on it. We can operate it. Um, it's a third of what build cost would be. I mean, it's a 5-story building for like $1.4 million or $1.5 million. Huge with 27 tenants. Um, we bought a smaller industrial flex space, about $3 million in Omaha. That actually closes next week. So yeah, we are looking at those different things, but once again, we're starting off on a small scale or teaming up with other qualified individuals, such as with the development. We brought in somebody that's built 14 developments before. Same thing, infill, Class A. Cool, come on board. We can figure this out together. We have a lot of experience and our aspects. They're able to help guide it through us as well. So yeah.
Awesome. I love that. And what you mentioned that you're not really out looking for deals. So what has been your role and what will be your role as you guys continue to grow and scale?
Yeah, so I mean, we are always looking for deals. My partner does. We also have 2 acquisition gentlemen on our team now, so they're out kind of hunting for the deals. So when I say I'm not looking for deals, it's just kind of me personally.
Right. Right.
But I will take deals. So if you guys have deals, please reach out to me. I
I
still
do know
want
how
them.
to evaluate them.
Yeah, I still want them. No, it's really kind of the operations, running the meetup, doing things like this. Lots of the businesses have came together through my relationship. So Bricktown, I found every single business I have founded and have kind of been a key person in that founding of it. Doesn't mean I'm doing all the work or even the significant amount of work of those, but it's been really kind of putting those pieces together. So if you say what's my superpower, it's kind of connecting people, being that networking, and then just kind of working relentlessly. So yeah, focusing on the operations is a big thing. I'm helping GC some projects out of state. Some of our projects in Des Moines. I'll head up there. I'll meet with the contractors. I'll get bids. So I still do things like that as well to keep the projects pushing forward.
Awesome. I love it. And I didn't mean to make it sound like you're not doing anything. I just meant like ultimately how it comes is as you grow, you start to really define your lane and what your role is. And you had mentioned that that's not really your role anymore. So I was just kind
No,
of curious.
absolutely.
So what have been some keys for you, to develop into this kind of leader and connector? You mentioned, it wasn't really what you saw for yourself. So what have been some keys in order to kind of develop that side of you?
Yeah, education is key. Outside of reading or listening to audibles or podcasts every day for 5 years in a row, I spent a lot of money on my education, a lot more. I'll spend 3 times as much this year as I spent for my entire master's degree.
Wow.
Just going to different masterminds, local groups called Vistage. Basically, you meet as each other's board, and you act as each other's board member of non-like-kind businesses. Some other real estate masterminds, some other groups. We are doing something similar to Traction or EOS, where we have a coach come in quarterly, coach us on um, initiatives we put together, help us get over our hurdles, help us identify our vision. So I'm just constantly learning, constantly trying to be the dumbest person in the room.
I love that. That's awesome. And it's so fascinating. Like I went to college, but I didn't finish. Right. And it's so fascinating. First of all, aside from my friends who went into medicine, nobody is practicing their degree.
Right.
I guess you are, right. You mentioned in the beginning, you don't ever really talk about it, but an MBA certainly,
yeah, sure.
Certainly helps in this sense. But it's funny now investing in education. You mentioned you're going to invest 3 times as much, but the quality, right? Like so much of school, at least for me, was such a waste of just like, I'm never going to need this. And now we can invest in our education in something that is actually going to provide value from top to bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of the things, and it's hard, you know. I mean, I have a 6, a 4, and a 2-year-old, and just kind of trying to project where they're going to go in education, because there is so many things. I self-educated myself how to become, you know, basically financially free, multimillionaire, multi-million dollar, you know, 8-figure businesses through self-education and finding like very concentrated platforms where if I would have gone the typical route, it would have been, I'd be like near my 50s before I hit the millionaire mark. I mean, it's insane. It is absolutely insane, because that's how we're taught. So yeah, I mean, the education is absolutely key, and finding things that you're interested in and getting around a group of people, because together you can move a lot faster, whether you're going to partner with them or not. Just having that type of information, that cohesiveness, will help propel you.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. As the old saying goes, many hands make light work.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm a big fan of sayings. They're so cliche, but they're so true. You know, it's like, they're there for a reason. But yeah, that's awesome. And one thing I harp on a lot is certainly education and partnering, right? A little bit of something is better than nothing at all. And
yeah, so, would you rather have one McDonald's or 1% of all the McDonald's? Well, it's 1% of every McDonald's, obviously. So yeah, the whole grape or a quarter of a watermelon.
Ooh, I like that. Okay.
There you go. Now you got a new saying for the next one.
Yeah.
I like it.
Did you come up with those? I'm going to quote you.
No, I did not. I did not. But yeah, quote me. That's perfect.
Absolutely. Listen, there's no such thing as original ideas anymore. So you know what? We're going to start stealing them.
I like it. I like it.
Nice. Well, as we wind down here, I got 5 questions I asked all of my guests. It's the final 5, so we'll get to those. First question, best advice you've gotten from a mentor?
Best advice I've gotten from a mentor. I don't know if this is the best advice, but avoid perfection. Perfection is the enemy of what? Great?
Of progress.
Of progress. You know, I heard the former CEO of Pepsi just speak. It was through a Zoom, and she said the biggest waste of her time was trying to go from 98% to 100%. She said she would spend 30% of her time there. And I see these people trying to get things perfect. I'll get questions. Well, how do I form an entity? When do I form it? Do I form it now? Do I name it this? Do I do that? Who gives a crap? Go and just do it. As you grow, start finding specialists, but you just have to do it, and you won't get to 100%. If you get to 100%, it should be only in like writing your name. You should never get to 100% of something.
Yeah, and I even struggle writing my name sometimes.
There you go. There you go.
I'm like, wait, what's my name again? No, just kidding. But yeah, that's so funny you say that, because I had the same issue. You know, first I was like, do I really want to put my name in the name of my business? And then, you know, I spent all this time on the logo, and then blah, blah, blah. And now you're in it. And then you start to see other people, and you're like, you know, they're way ahead of me. And they're like, yeah, my website's like, whatever, you know? So it's like you spend all this time on all these little minute details. And listen, some of these are important, of course, right? You need a place for investors to go and your credibility, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, if you spend too much time there, then you're just never going to get anything done.
I know I had somebody the other day show me their business card, like, you know, they just started their business. I don't have a business card.
Same.
I don't want a business card. It's not important. It does not make cash or improve the business. Okay, then why am I going to do it?
Yeah. And it's so funny too, because I'll come back from a conference and I've got a whole stack of business cards. And I'm like, I don't even remember what I talked to you about. You know?
Agreed.
So yeah, the most I did was I put a QR code so you could scan and add me on LinkedIn. Right.
Yeah, that's perfect. I like that. Yep.
So yeah, I mean, those are the things, you know, and I get it, right? Like they're important in the beginning, but then you get into it and you realize that they don't matter at all. And, you know, I would go to these conferences and, people are dressed to the nines, and here I am in like, some joggers and like a vest. And then I realized, I was like, if you're doing deals, nobody cares if you're wearing a full custom 3-piece suit or if you're in sweats.
Yeah. One of the speakers at the last conference I was at, flip-flops and sweats. Well, he's got a private jet and is worth 9 figures, and he's my age or younger. Nobody cares at that point. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Cool. What is it about your career that makes you feel like you're fulfilling your why?
Oh man, that's a good question. I am challenging myself every single day. It's difficult and it's never boring. There are some things I dislike doing in what I do, but it's because I'm probably not good at it or I'm not the best person to be suited at it. But I just love the challenge. I mean, that and which is not something that I had recognized when I first started this. My thought was, how do I get to $10,000 a month passively and I'm done? Colin's never working again. Quickly, I realized I want a lot more than that as you hit that and you add a zero to it and you keep growing. I mean, it's a good feeling to know that if I get hit by a bus, my family is taken care of. They better not screw it up. They have a machine that is working for them for legacy wealth. But honestly, I just love the challenge, man. It's fun every day. I just enjoy even the bad situations of like a lawsuit, a deal starts going south. It's it's not fun, but it's like being behind like in a sporting event. Like you just get fired up and want to go fix it and want to win.
Yeah, it's almost like I kind of thrive on chaos. And I was actually talking to Sam, my girlfriend, about this just recently. I was like, am I really a good problem solver? Or have I just always created so many problems for myself? I've developed the ability to solve problems, but ultimately, like, that is kind of it. Like, we're kind of getting down to the wire of this raise. We've got it. And I'm like, is it stressful? Yes. But it's like, it makes you sort of like focus more, I think.
It does. I'm reading Cameron Hanes' book. It just came out. I don't know. He's a super endurance athlete, bow hunter.
Yeah,
And
I
he just
like him a
talks
lot.
about that. Yeah, that nobody really takes anything away from something that's easy. You don't remember that. Nobody celebrates anything that's easy. Like, good, you got out of bed this morning, which for a lot of people that is an accomplishment. So if you're sick, I mean that's the most important thing. But most people go to what's easy, and that's just not interesting. You want to go to things that are hard, and when it becomes easy, cool. But then you want to go challenge yourself to go to another thing that's hard and more difficult. So love the
Agreed.
challenge.
Absolutely. And that's what bugged me about the corporate world is it just like you would master, like, let's say you master your role, right? And then all of a sudden the next role isn't available. And so now you're stuck in this thing that's not fun and it's not challenging you. And yeah, so I couldn't agree more. Uh, Favorite non-real estate or investment related book?
Oh man, Shoe Dog by
Nice. Phil
Phil
Knight.
Knight. Yeah, I've got one of the quotes on my wall. It's I've listened to that book a dozen times.
Such a great book. Man, that guy had no business getting into the shoe game and just absolutely, like, yeah, like
So
going to
yeah, so
Japan. It's like a
yeah,
young 20-year, like
it's
negotiating
great.
all of his deals with manufacturer. I mean, that's just,
It's crazy. And so I'll just say the quote because it is my favorite. I say it all the time. The cowards never started, the weak died along the way, and that leaves us, ladies and gentlemen, us. And I always think about that. Like the cowards are the ones that always talk about, oh man, one day I'm going to start this business, I'm going to do that. But they never do it. They're never going to do it. The ones that get these crazy ideas and they do it, but then they realize it's hard, those are the ones that died along the way. And then there's us. And then there's us that continue to feel the pain, continue to feel the burn, continue to lose, but get back up and try again and again and again. So I find it powerful when I'm in a tough situation. I imagine him in Japan and dealing in the most unrealistic situations of trying to get shoes and floating debt for 20 years.
yeah, it's insane. I remember starting out, right, and so afraid of failure, which is certainly one thing I think that keeps most people on the sidelines. And listen, the fear is kind of always still there,
It's
right? Like,
still
what if
here.
it goes wrong? But it's so funny because as you get into it, and I've interviewed over 100 people now, and I've literally had people tell me, yeah, if you lost, I would actually probably be one of your first investors in your next project. Because to people who are in this now, they realize that losing just means you learned something, right? Like I had a guest and he actually came out to Utah and we had drinks, and Aaron Chapman, and he has lost everything 3 times, had to rebuild 3 whole times, and has completely done it. And the more you, and it's so, you know, like there's no such thing as a failure, right? It's just, as Bob Ross says, it's just a happy accident. And a lesson.
Do a lot of things. Yeah,
and
it is.
Lesson.
I mean, Kobe Bryant missed the most shots in the NBA. There's something to be said for that.
I've got actually won this in I was slightly inebriated when I walked into this restaurant, and there was a silent auction, and one of the things is memorabilia from Kobe's one of his 60-point games back in 2016. I'm literally staring at it, and it says, "You are responsible for how people remember you, or don't. So don't take that lightly."
Yeah, that's awesome. I just sent chills.
Chills, right? RIP to a legend. But again, we don't remember him for his missed shots. You know,
nobody does.
No,
nobody does.
Cool. I love it. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
There's so many. I don't know. Can I just be like Iron Man? I think he's got a pretty good gig. No, it's not really a superpower. Super scientist genius. Swimming underwater, Aquaman would be pretty cool. I'd like to see to the bottom of the ocean. Yeah, I don't think I'd want to live. I don't think I'd want to live forever. Maybe I'll take the Thanos hand. I'll just take whatever was on that. I'll do all that. Yeah. I'll just do that so I can have them all. Is that like a cheat code? Is that not fair?
No, I mean, that's like when you get 3 wishes and one of your wishes is to ask for infinite wishes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I want the Thanos glove.
I play. Absolutely. I love it. Cool. Last one. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you and learn more?
Yeah, you guys can reach out to me at Collin@LeavenWealth.com. Levin like 11, but no E at the beginning. Facebook, Collin Schwartz. Instagram, Collin C. Schwartz. So yeah, just hit me up anytime. Always happy to have conversations. We do bring on other investors as well passively, but always looking to partner with other people. If somebody needs somebody with some operational background, we've done that before, partnered with other individuals and help their team grow as they're new to it. And then we can do a couple deals together. They get the experience and then they just go start their own thing, and then they can go start their own shop, and we can be here and use us and go off and do your own thing. So whatever we can do to help. The
cycle grows, man. That's what's so great about this industry.
Yeah.
People helping
infinite.
People.
Infinite. There's no finite amount of capital, deals, opportunities out there. There's infinite amount for the people that want to work for it.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Well, this has been so much fun. I really, really appreciate all your time and all the laughs and all of your insight.
Jonny Cattani, I appreciate it, buddy.
Absolutely, Collin. Have a good one.
All right. Thanks, man.
Hey, guys. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. I hope you really enjoyed it. Listen, I know it's cliche and you hear it all the time, but please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you know when the next video is coming out. Even though this is technically a daily podcast, you know it's coming out the next day. We have a ton of content coming your way. So please like and subscribe. It helps a ton. Leave comments. Would love to know what you guys think. And we will see you on the next one. Thanks so much.